Hey there, David from Moon Labs. Thanks so much for joining. I'm going to get straight into this. I hope you enjoy it, but just to quickly go over what we're going to be covering, we've got content creation, personalized outreach, customer support agent, and market research, all within 20 minutes. I guarantee it's going to transform something, and I hope it does. If you really like this free training, pre-order now, get 50% off. We've only got 10 spaces, so get in there. Let's have a look at how we use ChatGPT, Claude, LLMs in Google Sheets. We've custom built an AI app script that sits in Google Sheets, basically gives you access to the API in your Google Sheet, and it allows you to create a couple of different headers, prompt and response, and basically just throw in a load of data that you've got. I'm just going to run you through how it works. So I've tried a few and they're like just not very good. So custom coding your own. If you want that code, you can actually go down to workflow 3, clickup.com, and you can just copy and paste this into extensions app script and then create new. And what you'll see here is you've got this line here, which means that it's trying to get a property. The way you go to properties is you go to project settings, edit script properties, and you add in your API key. If you need to, if you go to Claude Get Started API and you go to initial setup, then it will show you how to create your console account and API key. That'll give you everything you need to be able to copy and paste the code in here and see the exact same buttons that we've got here in our Claude process all rows or selected cell. So what I've got here is I've got some posts and some comments from LinkedIn. And the whole idea about using LLMs in terms of Google Sheets, one of the use cases is outreach, like personalized outreach. And so what I want to show you is how powerful it can be where you get data that you have access quite easily in your CRM or out scraping it on LinkedIn and stuff, is once you pull that data in and you give LLMs access to the full lot, it's amazing what you can kind of come up with. So for example, just to start with, I am going to show you how I would go and create comments, connection requests at scale. So I'm a person and I've seen that these people have been commenting on posts that I know are within my target market. So essentially, I am going to say, I'm going to write the prompt and connect the data afterwards. So I've written here, hey, create a simple UK spelling connection request mentioning common ground in the comment. And then interestingly here, I'm putting, here's their comment, and then I'm attaching the data on the end. So it looks something like this. So let me go to Claude and process all rows. This is going to work such that anything with prompt, any cell underneath prompt that doesn't have a response, it will go and fill that in. So you can see here, I really appreciate your comment about being a knowledge sponge. It resonates with me, my belief and continuously. Now, what if we wanted to include first name? Request mentioning the common ground of the comment put on LinkedIn and their first name. I'll go and full stop. Here's their first name, and then I will go and then I throw in the commenter first name. So you can see how like if I have access to all the data, it just takes a case of building the formula. Now, another quick hack of this is you could probably copy and paste this into Claude and say, hey, build the formula out for me. So now I'm not going to autofill it. And actually, I want to change it to say, just respond with the connection request. Let's process all rows. So now I'm expecting just the connection request, including their first name and their comment. Now, the benefits of this is you're going to get way better response rates. And you can see here, perfect. That's exactly how it works. Doing this at scale, if you have a CRM of 1,000 people, you're going to get way higher acceptance rates and you're going to be able to market your business a lot better. This is one that we use and it just absolutely kills it. Another example of how we use, chaining these kind of data pieces together is actually including a little bit of custom knowledge that is going to guide your outputs to be less general. This is a very common idea in generative AI is feeding it your own data so that the outputs are unique, custom to you, but also they don't sound like everyone else. So what I've done is I've gone into LinkedIn and I've added in a few comments. This won't be perfect, but I'll show you how this can kind of work off the fly. And I've got a post here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come in here and I'm going to prompt, hey, create a comment similar to how I speak given my comments later on in this prompt. Here's the post content. Here's my previous comments. Please speak in UK language and follow my tonality, spelling, and general vibe as much as you can, please. So you can see it's nicely thrown everything in. And so what this should do is it should create a nice comment that kind of fits the bill. And again, we're just putting prompt and response on the top. I need to extend this out. Should be done relatively soon. It's a little bit over the top, but it's funny that that's how it thinks I talk. I need to stop commenting like I do. You would go through this and you'd say, right, we need to edit this in a certain way. So when I'm looking at this, and this maybe is useful as well, is like I'm thinking, right, it's a little bit too British. And oh my God, I'm actually like, it's actually cussing her out for whatever. Okay, one second. Ultimately, the powerful part of this is that I can drag this down and I can process all these rows, and you'll start to see that you're not just stuck in ChatGPT or in Claude. You're able to access the LLM's capabilities through a long list of leads or a long list of comments or support tickets. There's tons of variations in this that could work really, really nicely. So finally, I believe that this is really the power of using it in Google Sheets is, you can give everyone access to be able to like throw together the type of detail that they need in order to be more efficient at work. It usually applies more in the sales role, maybe even marketing. Depends who deals with data, but LLMs and spreadsheets is super, super cool. You can give it like a whole row, get it to categorize. Okay, so what I want to show you now is a content workflow that generates nuanced, unique content that is specific to us, that only we can say in minutes instead of hours in the week. What I'm able to generate is a ton of video content that is high quality, that speaks about problems or generally interesting things that are relevant in my market. And it requires me to give very little brain power. Instead of finding the content and then curating it, AI is doing that, and I just select the best ones. And what you get is a ton of new ideas and a lot of output for not very much work in. So I want to show you that right now as well. So what I'm going to start with, you need 3 accounts. One is for Fireflies. This is a meeting transcriber, pretty awesome. Has an API, which is what I like, but creates tasks, connects to ClickUp, connects to a load of different tools. This is like one of the biggest wins I see in many companies is just get a transcriber in every single call. Now, one little aside here that I really like is the name of the game in terms of generative AI at the moment is generating as much unique data as possible and holding it close to your heart and holding it close to your chest. Because in a world where everyone uses AI, everyone says the same thing if you just use the same model, right? Like the only difference is the input data. So how do you generate that? Well, a lot of people are struggling because they're not recording everything. So recording your client calls, recording your customer support calls, recording your internal meetings about strategies, tactics, updates, internal presentations, like all of these are troves of interesting thoughts that you can then go and extrapolate out into multiple different assets, such as process docs, onboarding documentation, new marketing assets. So this is an example of like taking that infrastructure and creating marketing assets from it. So the last thing I want to show you is Opus Pro. Now this is the way that we get short form content, short form video content out. Whereas like usually before it'd take a video editor, but now because you're capturing nuanced thought in specific ways, all you need is AI to go and turn the video into something that's actually palatable. And this is exactly what it does. So first of all, what I'm doing is I'm going to Claude and I'm going into projects. And I have got a system where you put a transcript into a Claude project and you are then using that as its knowledge base. And you are going to then turn that into content ideas. So, first of all, in order to get that transcript, you need to go to Fireflies. And I'm going to download via JSON, turn off the timestamp, and download. What I'll get is a JSON file, which is this thing here. So I'm going to click add content, upload from device, and it's this thing here, but I've already uploaded it. So what it will look like is, I don't need to show you actually. So once that's uploaded, we now have an AI system that has access to a meeting. So what that really means is that it has access to our words. When we check the workbook, we've got quite a cool prompt here, which is review this transcript and create a few different assets. Now, what this is trying to do in the KB, I should have put, what this is trying to do is not create assets straight away. It's trying to get you to think of ideas and pull out things that you think your audience should listen to. But essentially, I could definitely see a place where if you get the prompt completely correct, then you could definitely do transcript to LinkedIn post. I see a lot of people doing it at the moment. It's kind of all the rage. The trick is to not be too predictable, which is why I like going for ideas first, because it kind of protects you from being repetitive and being obviously using AI. One of the key things I really like here is notable quotes. So these are good like core ideas. And what I really like is follow-up questions for content. This is like a feedback loop where I can sit down on a call with myself or with other people, spin up a load of content and ideas, take it away and say, right, follow-up questions from new content. Could I explain how the quick wins framework works in practice? What are the most common AI opportunities that people miss in their daily processes? I mean, this is pretty apt, right? Like this is really, really nice that if I was to then sit down and answer this on a call, like I'm kind of doing now, I would then just put this into Fireflies, extrapolate the transcript, and go and fire this prompt in there again. And so what you can do and just trial this out as well is just throw this prompt in afterwards and just see what it comes up with, see if something sticks. I think this is, again, when you're training yourself in AI and you're kind of like using it day to day, what you're often doing is you're trying to find the troves of gold rather than just accept everything for what is on the surface. And one example is like I like to use variations and I like to like alternatives and connections between ideas because you shouldn't just believe its first output. That's for sure. So yeah, you can see here, it's just sort of throwing out some generalist stuff, but there's definitely some workable things in here that if I was to sit down and go, right, I need to like go and create some content. I want to create a blog. I want to create this or that. This is what we do all the time. And this is more for written content. What I do then for video is I download the MP4 and then I go to Opus Pro, which is a short form content creator. And so I've got some examples here where I just upload the video. I'm going to cancel that because I've already uploaded it. And what it'll do is it will run through all of the video content and pull out clips for you. And it's going to give you like really cool and really useful functionality on top of it to be able to edit the transcripts. But essentially, this is, I mean, I've just done one clip copy and paste or one click publish to LinkedIn on some of these if they're really, really good. Now, one really important thing here is, the better you set up your initial video to be shareable, such as like good lighting, good audios, maybe something like this, where it's a lot easier to just throw it to AI and get a really good output. So that's something to keep in mind here. But this process alone saves us 5-10 hours a week, if not more. And it stops us hiring a video editor because this is all my audience cares about right now, especially from an awareness perspective. Like, we just need to generate more content specific to us. And these two things have just made it so easy to step aside from using AI to create general posts, like advice posts, and using AI in the right way to make sure that we're getting the most out of our content that we create. So, just to summarize, your job is to create as much data and consume it and record it using Fireflies, then use these prompts and Claude with the project and the knowledge base, using that transcript that you just recorded to go and create new content ideas and then create that flywheel of more questions, more content, more questions, more content. All the while, every video you create, you're turning it into LinkedIn posts, emails, and then you're turning the video into video content. Okay, awesome. Now, the other workflow I want to show you is this the support agent. Now, this has a multitude of uses, basically giving access via a front-end chatbot or in Slack. And I'll show you the Slack integration because I think it's awesome. A way to access all the different documentation that you've got, and really good tool because you can fire in PDFs, slideshows, and just text files. And so how I currently use it is as a sales bot. So I throw in all of my sales calls and I ask questions about what objections come up. And I'm going to show you kind of how to set that up and how I'm currently using it. So let's dive straight in. So Cody is a very simple chat bot, I guess. And you can chat with it in various different ways. But let's just see the example. What's the transcripts generally mentioning? And I'll show you how I set this bot up to have a knowledge base and the specific type of setup I give it so that the results are really good. But you can see here, so these transcripts were around using AI to analyze sales calls and using transcription tools. And it always gives you the source that it got it from. Where is this? No, I don't want that. I want the sources. There we go, based on the transcript there. And you can see here it's got a percentage of what it wanted to take forward. Really good at generating the right kind of context. Now, how am I doing this? I have something called the sales bot. I have bought the premium version of this because I think it's worth it. But essentially, I'm giving it the Claude Sonnet 32K. You can edit this. I gave it just UK English spelling and use original wording because, again, when I'm trying to think of marketing, like we did in the content creation thing, I'm looking to use nuanced things that no one else can say. And one little hack is keeping this sentence of use the original wording as close as possible because that's going to keep that original nuanced spelling, tonality, branding, all that kind of stuff. And then essentially here, I keep it relevant. I keep it fairly wide, but you can play around with these. And I like to leave a decent amount for history and context window. Response, you can tailor it depending on each bot. It depends what you're using it for. I think customer support bots, the context is going to be a bit higher and the response is going to be a bit shorter. And the history is going to be a bit shorter, but the response can be a bit longer depending on the complexity. So let's imagine this. If you're a customer support agent and the questions you get are really technical or they're like very important or they're based on a wide knowledge base, you want to increase the context and increase response, but decrease that history because it might be a one and done. However, if it's based on, or if you want to, ask a very exploratory, what's all these things saying? Like, what are all my sales calls saying? And increasing the context is really good, but the response could be a bit lower. So then maybe you can ask more questions and generate that history to be a bit larger. But I don't know if I can undo that. I'm going to have to push it back manually, but we can edit this out of the script. Also, so now what I will be doing is I am adding in my knowledge base. And I've added in here something called past calls. I'm going to show you what past calls looks like. It's in the knowledge part of this. So you can see here, you create a new folder. I'm yet to upload these, but these are examples of what you might be uploading into them. And I've got past calls here. And so what these are transcripts that I've downloaded from all of my sales calls. These are just a chunk of them just to sort of illustrate what's possible. You can also upload PDFs, Word, and PowerPoint files, and also import websites. So if I want to import a website, I might actually just do moonlabs.ai, crawl the website, run now then every 30 days, call and import. Let's see what happens. Right, so while that's crawling, one step that I needed to mention, one step that we need to do is also go and get your customer support tickets and import them into here. So I'll be putting these into support tickets here. So then when I create the bot, I'm giving it one of these knowledge bases, and then you're able to chat with it and also embed it anywhere in your website. And I currently have it in my Slack channels, which is super, super cool. So I will show you that in a second. Okay, so this is Cody in Slack. It's super, super cool. I'll create a channel for specific workflow. So here I've got transcripts test, but I would usually do marketing or sales or content because you assign a bot per channel. And a bot is basically a LLM agent sat on top of your knowledge base with a specific type of prompt engineering. So before I showed you the sales call one, a bit generic, but you would maybe do a content generation one or a customer support agent one. And yeah, then you assign the bot in the channel and you essentially just talk to it like it's a normal human. And it's really great. It feels like this is a really good kind of playground for people when they're in discussion, just jumping in and saying, "Hey, Cody, what is that thing that I think I need?" Or who's that client that struggled with project X? Like these are the types of questions that you can just go and quickly whip up in Slack instead of having to search yourself. So I think that's like a really, really cool use case here. Yeah, and finally, finally on this, we had a client that went from struggling with their customer support tickets, sending automated general response that will get back to you in 48 hours and providing a pretty bad customer support service. Oh, no, bad. We also use this for a client, and they are saving now probably about 100 hours a month in first response and getting customers' answers quicker than they were before. And we've got this amazing feedback loop where every support ticket is getting cleaned and automatically put into Cody in one of the knowledge bases called FAQs. This is a test account, so it won't show up in here. But this feedback loop of generate the data, clean it up, throw it into an FAQ, put an LLM on top, and serve that to customers is becoming a very, very quick way to get those first level questions out of the way. And I think it's a really, really interesting case study where they're saving thousands of pounds a month now just from implementing this one tool. So I hope that gives you some insight into how powerful this can be. Awesome. Now, lastly, we want to have a look at market research and using Perplexity, which is a phenomenal tool that I hadn't heard about till like later on, but really, really like it. So if you go to your workflow two, research, market research master, and what I really like is we have this like sort of magic formula where I just throw in any industry. So I'm going to do the AI training industry in the UK. I'm going to throw this at it. And what I really like doing with Perplexity is showing various ways that you can grab data and you can change your filters or your search query to improve your kind of understanding. So right here, I'm looking at this data and I'm thinking, what part of this would I like to further investigate? And see some key companies. Okay, so I might go and research those. So actually, one question I might do is like, okay, so how big are these companies? But again, going back through here, and I'm looking at this. I need to understand market size for AI training in the industry in the UK. What about if I just asked in the world? So let me bear with me. I'm just sort of doing all the prompts right now, just to show you the differences and what it can do. So, GraphCore founded in 2016. So you've got all this amazing data just at your fingertips. Whereas before, to search this and to gather it all in one place would take multiple search queries. And this is something that I've found to save us lots and lots of time when we're creating new marketing campaigns, when we're trying to understand a new market, trying to get an idea of whether something's growing or decreasing. Basically, you're just getting access to a very large amount of data in one swift move and not relying on AI's training data is just super, super useful. So this is a really cool tool that I love. Overall market value, brilliant. So yeah, this is basically it. I think this is a really, really cool tool.